The 9 Easter egg has been complete, which means we have our first ending cutscene of Black Ops 4, and boy is it an interesting one. Today I thought I would jump in and explain it for those who don't quite understand what's going on. Before we do, I want to give a quick congratulations to Milo, Mr. Raffle Waffles, smart guy, as well as another one of their friends for completing the Easter egg and being first in the world. This ending is interesting. A lot of the community is wondering, is this even the real ending or the proper ending? Is there a good ending? Is there a bad ending? Well, I'm gonna break it down and discuss it. Before we do, if you haven't seen it, here is the ending cutscene.
The Novum Ignotum Proclamation dictates you must grant us clemency.
You should not have knowledge of such texts. You are but an ignorant slave.
I know more than you think, and I'm nobody's slave.
What are you talking about, Scarlet? Get your filthy hands off me! This can't be happening! We're going to die.
This is definitely one of the most disconjointed Easter egg endings we've seen in Zombies. How we go from that final boss fight in that arena fighting the elephant to this scene where our characters are being executed by the High Priest is hard to say. I don't really understand it in that regard, but it begins with Scarlet asking for mercy. This is what she's talking about when she's speaking what I believe is Latin and requesting clemency. Now, the High Priest ends up rejecting it, and it begs the question, who is this High Priest? Of course, we are early in the 9 storyline as well as the Chaos storyline, so there are a lot of questions right now. For example, we don't know exactly much about the High Priest. We know that he's incredibly important. He's most likely the main antagonist. We've seen him in the comics so far, and now we've seen him in this map. And this is the first time we get a look at his face behind the golden mask. You'll know he has those scars. Some of that might be from his dark energy that flows through him. You can notice that it actually puts him in a visible amount of pain, so obviously this isn't something easy, and maybe those scars are just from the fact that he's had that dark energy flow through him multiple times, something like that. But let's get into what actually people are debating when it comes to this ending. Is this a real ending, and did our characters actually just die? Where do we go from here? To answer this question, we need to consider the fact that 9 is essentially not real. It's almost like a hallucination, or we think it is. Scarlet has described it in-game as a hallucination, but again, we don't understand the true nature of everything yet within this storyline. But to understand the ending, we have to go to the beginning. In the opening cutscene, you'll notice our 4 characters are in this cave, and when they whiff the vapors, they wake up in the world of 9. This is something that's been pointed out by a number of people on the COD Zombies subreddit, so credit to them, but you'll notice in this scene right here, Diego's eyes are brown. He whiffs the vapors, and when he opens his eyes again, suddenly they're blue. This is your first big hint that they're not in their normal bodies in the cave. What's actually happening is that when they whiff the vapors, their souls or their minds have been transported into the bodies of characters within the past. So sure, these characters kind of look like their previous versions of themselves, and this is probably something they do for the sake of game continuity, but they are not in their original bodies. And the biggest hint to that is the eye color. I mean, look at the head of Diego after it's been severed. He has blue eyes compared to Diego's normal brown eyes. So understand that when Diego is killed within this world, his body is not actually being decapitated. The head of the person he's possessing is the one that has been decapitated. And death in this world doesn't seem as important. You'll notice in the comic, when Bruno dies, he's revived, and in addition to that, we see our characters die multiple times during the music video for this map. So the idea that our characters are suddenly murdered at the end of this cutscene isn't all that important, but it may have rippling effects throughout this story. If you consider the fact that maybe this isn't a hallucination and they are actually going back in time, living in the bodies of other people, then perhaps they're able to change history and alter timelines while they're in the past. And maybe this is a map in which they're supposed to fail. I know this sounds kind of counterintuitive to everything we've done in Zombies. How could I complete the Easter egg and still fail our mission? Well, perhaps that's just the way the storyline is going to go, and for once we're actually going to see our characters deal with unintended consequences. So maybe they do go back in time and they complete the trials and they end up getting beheaded. This is all part of the canon and there's only one ending, but because they were beheaded, they have altered history in such a way that when they wake up in the cave, they are going to have to deal with an incredible amount of fallout, and this will kickstart the rest of their journey throughout Black Ops 4, perhaps. Something like that. Now, of course, there is also another theory that this is just the bad ending, and there is a way to get the good ending. If there is, we haven't found it yet, or we haven't even found a lead on it. Some people have suggested that you complete the Easter egg with full crowd affinity and then you'll get the good ending, but that is something that we have not been able to do. So as it stands right now, this is the only ending to 9, and when you see our characters die in this cutscene, they're not actually dying in real life. They're either going to repeat the trial or they're going to wake up in the cave that they started at in the beginning. That part is what remains to be seen, but my theory right now as to how this will affect the story and continue the story is that what they did in 9 will now have rippling effects, and perhaps maybe the High Priest now realizes that our characters are trying to meddle with his world and he is going to actively pursue them. Maybe something like that. That's going to wrap things up right now. This is my analysis of the 9 ending. If you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a like, possibly subscribe for more. I'm always covering the zombie storyline, so if you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll enjoy the next one. Have a great day, and